Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ty and this is RealiTea Table Talk. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the latest episodes of the reality shows we all love to watch. Now, my thoughts are my thoughts and the reviews I share are from my perspective. But I can guarantee that at least a few of us are thinking the same things while we're watching these shows. If you're here for the first time, welcome to my channel. And if you're a return viewer, thank you so much for joining me again. Y'all, I am here with a whole new review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 12. And I just want to remind you all to please like, share, and subscribe. It's a free and easy way to support this channel and its growth. With that said, pull up a seat, join me at the table, and let's get into this review. So y'all, we start this episode off at my favorite, Shamia. She's at the pool waiting for Kelly to show up. And Kelly calls and is like, hey girl, I'm here. Where are you at? Shamia's like, follow the sound of my voice. So she's singing. Kelly figures out that she's down there by the pool. So she meets up with Kelly at the pool. And Shamia is asking Kelly how she's doing, how she's been. And Kelly is like, you know what? I've been going through it. This whole cast has been going through it. I think we need a getaway. So Kelly is going to be hosting the cast trip, y'all. And she wants Shamia to host with her. And Shamia says she's all down for it. And Kelly's like, for real? And Shamia's like, yeah, but you know, it depends on where we're going. So Kelly says, think of somewhere with blue waters. Think of some place that's known for their spices. So y'all, Shamia is naming everywhere but where they're actually going, okay? She's talking about the Bahamas. She's talking about the Maldives. She's talking about Puerto Rico, y'all, the Dominican Republic, Switzerland, Greece, everywhere but where they're actually going. So Kelly finally says, we are going to the island of Grenada. The cast trip is going to be held in Grenada. And both the ladies are excited. And hell, I'm excited. I need a trip to Grenada, okay? I need a trip anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, like, take me to Ohio, okay? I need a vacation. I need to get away too. So they're talking about the trip. And Shamia says, well, they were just affected by hurricanes. And Kelly is like, yeah, so we should definitely try to do something for the island while we're there. So Kelly says that she knows somebody that's on the tourism board for Grenada, a person by the name of Randall. So they do a FaceTime call with Randall and see what all is needed down there so that they can help out while they're vacationing. So Randall is telling them that they are in need of medical supplies, things for diabetic patients, clothing, just basically anything that they can offer. And they're like, Shamia's like, we got you, no problem. So they get off the FaceTime call with Randall. Kelly says Randall is fine and over 5'9". And honey, that's all that it takes for Kelly, okay? Not really. But I get it. Kelly is a little. Y'all remember back in the day with the Real Housewives of Atlanta, they had the talls and the smalls. Well, that's Kelly. Kelly is one of the smalls. She's actually like the smallest that's been on this cast since its inception, pretty much. So Kelly is like, I'm ready to see what the island has to offer. I'm ready to see what Grenada can offer me, y'all. Kelly also tells us that she's 2 years into her divorce and the court date for the divorce is coming up. And she is physically drained, mentally drained, financially drained. Kelly received her attorney bill and she has to pay $158,000. Y'all, like, damn, I wish I had a fraction of that, okay? But to fork that much out to get divorced from someone that you're just ready to be done with, woo child. Woo child. Remind me to never get married. Now, Kelly and Shamia are becoming fast friends. Shamia loves the fact that Kelly she's down for whatever and she's fun. And I feel like that really goes with Shamia's personality as well. Shamia is a fun girl, okay? She always has me cracking up. And I'm not saying that because she's my favorite. Shamia really is funny. She's funny. I would love to be around that type of energy, especially when your personal life is in shambles. And Shamia says, you know what, girl, this is why you need this trip. This is why we're going to Grenada. And Kelly is like, yeah, we're going to go to Grenada and leave all the rest behind. And I am down with that. Let's leave it all behind, go to Grenada and call it a day, okay? Y'all, in this next scene, Shamia's former bestie, Porsha, and Mama Diane and her sister Lauren are going to look at a home. Honestly, I'm thinking that Porsha's maybe just looking for somewhere where she can film that's not a restaurant or a bar or a strip club. The real estate agent is showing them around the house, and they go upstairs, and through the window, you can see the guest house. And y'all, that's all Mama Diane needed to know. She said, I'm selling my house and I'm moving in. And you know what? I would not doubt it. They're really close, and one is not going to be too far away from the other. I could definitely see Miss Diane packing it up and moving it in with Porsha and staying in that guest house. So the real estate agent shows them the rest of the house and then leaves them to give them some time to discuss what they're seeing, what they're liking, what they're not liking, etc. So Porsha, Mama Diane, and Lauren, they all go inside this house and they sit down and they're talking, and Porsha's like, this is the first home that I'm looking at, and she likes it. And Lauren is like, you know what? Don't jump at the first house that you see. There's others out there. And Porsha's like, yeah, you're right. You know, this is my plan B. Porsha is telling us that she's feeling nervous because her court date is also coming up with Simon. And then we get a flashback to a couple of scenes of Porsha when she first joined the show, when she was married to Cordell. And she's telling us that, you know, in her first marriage, she just kind of let everything go. She let basically Cordell and his team handle the divorce, and she walked away with nothing. This time around, she's got some businesses going on. She's got Pampered by Porsha. She's got Go Naked Hair. She's got a little bit of money. Okay, she's got a few dollars from the show, and she's just not willing to let things go. But she is going to have a plan B in place for her and Pilar, somewhere where they can lay their heads down just in case things go awry with this court hearing. Porsha tells her mom and her sister that they have a girls trip planned for the whole cast to go to Grenada. And so Lauren is like, well, how is that going to go? Y'all all staying in one house? Because of course her and Mama Diane are aware of the tension that's been going on amongst the cast with the group. Lauren led the meditation session at the Peppered by Porsha event. So she was witness to the argument and the distinction between Porsha and Shamia. And Porsha says, me and Shamia talked, we worked it out, we're good. And it's basically now just about letting the other girls know that we're good. We're going to keep our relationship to us. It's not to explain to anybody else. And we're just going to keep it pushing and moving forward. And Porsha says that she is about love. Her friendship, she wants to show love to everybody. And if they can't receive that, well, then they can go find friendship elsewhere. And, you know, she kind of made an analogy to having the friendship with Shamia. She compared it to being in a marriage. Like, you don't explain your marriage to anybody else. And I agree. Your friendship with Shamia is your friendship with Shamia. Y'all have a long-standing history. There's history with your mamas. So these other ladies on the cast, they can have their little opinions or whatnot. But if you really respect and cherish the friendship with Shamia, then you would keep that between y'all. You don't listen to what these newcomers have to say about your friendship because they don't know. And that's where I think Porsha went wrong in the last episode, letting some of these ladies get into her head, get into her ear, taking what they were saying as the gospel, Angela, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. So then, y'all, we get a little glimpse of Kelly at the spa getting a facial with Cha-Cha, her little fur baby. And Cha-Cha's getting a facial as well. They're doing some lymphatic drainage. And after the facial, Kelly asked Cha-Cha, did you enjoy your facial? And the technician says, well, Cha-Cha may have lost the lash. The dog has lashes. we know this. We heard about this in previous episode, but y'all, it still blows my mind. So y'all, after the spa date with Kelly and Cha-Cha, we move over to V103, the radio station where Miss Shamia Morton is there promoting her music. And she's talking with Big Ticket, who's sitting behind the mic, y'all, interviewing Shamia for this radio show. Ticket tells Shamia, well, another one of your castmates has a song out as well. And Shamia's like, oh, really? Who? And Ticket's like, well, Drew Sidora has a song out. And Shamia's like, well, I never heard it on this radio station. You know, Shamia is still feeling some kind of way behind being called a lapdog from Drew. And I don't blame her. Nobody wants to be called somebody else's lapdog. Okay, we're all individuals. We all have our own personalities. And just because you're a loyal friend to someone does not make you their lackey or their lapdog or their follower. Shamia is just a loyal friend, point blank, period. So y'all, Shamia is being shady during this interview, okay? Besides the dig that she said talking about, oh, well, Drew's song has never been on this radio station. She also says that her music is authentic. It's speaking about her and her life. So when somebody comes out with a song talking about, I got 5 different languages that I can speak, those are the lyrics to Drew's song. I got 5 on it, 5 love languages, which y'all, I actually do love. That song is a bop. Shamia is like, you don't speak 5 languages. You don't speak 5 languages. And I get the context of the song, but Shamia is just being shady here. She's getting her get back, okay? Now, Shamia is kind of echoing my sentiments here, okay? Because y'all know Drew irks my soul with all of her lies and the facade that she tries to put on for this show. She irks my nerves. But when that song comes on, I be bumping it. I've been bumping it in my ride. I've been bumping it in my truck, okay? I love that song. But then it's like, oh yeah, that's right, I don't really like you. But you know what? It's all good. You don't necessarily have to like the artist to like their music, right? So Shamia is saying the same things. Like, she forgets that she be having beef with certain people sometimes. And so when I Got 5 on It comes on, she be bopping. She be bopping to it as well. And then she remembers, oh yeah, that's right, you called me a lapdog. But in Shamia's confessional, she's like, you know what, don't play with me, play with your mammy. So back at the radio station, Tigger wraps up the interview and Shamia stands up and she's like, you lying ass bitch. Okay, Shamia is not over the comment that Drew has made. And Shamia has received that type of feedback regarding her and Porsha's friendship for pretty much the duration of their friendship, but especially since Porsha's been on this show and Shamia's kind of been a friend on the show, you know, here and there. I'm sure everybody's got a point where they're just over it. You know, you try to take things on the chin, but when you hear something so much and it really bothers you, and then you really do have tension with the person that they're saying you're following up behind, you know, that's going to get to anybody. And I think Shamia is at her breaking point with it all. So that's what we're seeing here. Drew made the comment. And so right now, Drew is the target. In this next scene, Britt, Edie, and her husband, Mike, are in the bathroom. I don't know if they're doing their nighttime routine, their morning routine. I don't know, child, but they're in the bathroom doing something, okay? And Britt is telling Mike that she's getting ready for this Polo Classic event that she's having at their country club so that she can introduce the ladies to her new clothing line called Bare and Naked. And this line is basically loungewear and shapewear. In Britt's confessional, she tells us that she's had the idea for this clothing line for a while. And she initially wanted to go ahead and launch it when she did her insurance company. But it was a little bit too much on her plate. Now that her insurance license is on hold, she's got the time to dedicate to getting her clothing brand up and running and off the ground. Now, Britt tells us that the inspiration behind this line is clothing that makes you feel like you're barely wearing anything, so much so that you feel like you're walking around naked. Honey, If these clothes really deliver what the inspiration is, well, then sign me up. I hate wearing undergarments. So if you got some undergarments, girl, some bras, some drawers, some panties that feels like you don't even have a mom, sign me up. Now, Britt is also telling us that she got a little bit of Botox in her face. And Mike says, well, I can't tell that you got Botox. And Britt is like, well, you shouldn't be able to. Mike is like, yeah, that's the sign of good, injections. Y'all, I know the girlies down in Atlanta, they have a lot of stuff going on, okay? A lot of transformations with the face, with the body. I'm not one to indulge in all of that, but I'm not saying I wouldn't. Okay, I'm coming up on 45 here very, very quickly. And I'm starting to see a few lines on my face, on my forehead and whatnot. And I would not mind having a little bit of filler, maybe a little bit of Botox, just to slow the process down just a tad. So I'm not going to say anything about Britt's Botox here, girl. If you like it, I love it for you. So y'all, in this next scene, we are at one of Angela Oakley and Charles Oakley's rental properties. Rental property number 4 that is being listed at this particular time for $465,000. And it's a nice, big, beautiful home. And they open up the door and Angela's like, do you like it? And Charles is like, well, I like it when it's sold. Charles, I know that is right. Angela tells us that she's actually had to knock the listing price down. So she's basically trying to sell it for what she bought it for. So she's basically not going to be making a profit off of this property. If she had just put a little bit more effort into making this thing look decent, then she probably could get a little bit more for it. But the way that it is right now, just walking into it, honey, this place needs a whole lot more work for $465,000. Angela hired a contractor to help her get this property, to get it together so that it could be sold. And so she handed a list to the contractor, and the contractor said, we'll have our guys come in, knock off all this stuff on the list, and then I'm going to guarantee that it will be sold within 10 days. Well, Angela, go ahead and get your money back from this contractor, because as we see, this place is a hot mess. So when Angela walks in, she's frustrated because the drywall is not finished. Again, there's a tarp over the window. She's frustrated. And I would be frustrated too if you paid somebody to come in and get this done and you walk into the place and it still looks like this. In Angela's confessional, she tells us that she did originally list this property for $499,000, but she has since had to knock the price down several times. So now it's back to being listed at $338,000. And again, y'all, that's how much she paid for this property. In her confessional, she also tells us that she is $2 million in debt. She's got 7 rental properties. She's $2 million in debt, and it's frightening. I would do everything that I could do to make sure that these houses are appealing to potential buyers, aka staging these places, so that they can go ahead and be sold for at least a little bit of a profit. Who wants to sit up and spend time and money and effort and put all this energy into a place that you're not even making a profit off of? So as we saw last episode, Angela's mom came to visit and informed Angela that she was moving out of the house that Angela bought for her. She wanted to stand on her own too, pretty much. So Angela is again telling us here in this episode that she's hurt, that it's painful knowing that she spent $490,000 on the house for her mom and her sister to live in, and that they're moving out of it. So she's telling Charles about this, and Charles is like, well, why didn't you tell them about this place so they could go ahead and buy this place? So now Angela, she starts to tear up when she's talking to Charles, because she tells Charles that she finally got all of the details behind Angela's mother and Charles falling out. She wants to apologize to Charles because she didn't fully hear him out. She was putting a lot of pressure on Charles to apologize to LaMargaret, to make things right with LaMargaret. when all along she didn't have the full story, which was basically that Charles said something to LaMargaret about how your daughter needs to clean up. We know how much of a neat freak Charles is. He's actually kind of OCD about keeping this house clean, and I get it. LaMargaret was basically like, you're talking about my daughter. I'm not going for it. She was ready to go after Charles. She was trying to get to him, honey. She was trying to fight Charles, okay? So Charles is like, well, I told you what happened. And Angela was like, well, you know, that day I was upset with you. We were arguing. And when my mom called and told me that y'all had got into it, she pretty much just took her mom's side. She was upset with Charles. But now that she knows, she apologizes, and Charles is like, well, you know what it is. So Angela has tears coming out of her eyes, y'all, and she was like, I need a hug. And Charles is like, go cry with your mom. But he does give in, and he gives her a hug. So after they hug it out, Angela tells Charles about this golf event happening at the country club that Britt is throwing for her clothing line. And, you know, Britt and Angela, they've had some issues in the past. There's been some mudslinging going on between these two, but Britt has extended the invitation to Angela to come to this event. And Angela says, you know, me and Britt, well, we could be cordial. And Charles is like, oh, so I don't have to go. Y'all, Charles is trying not to deal with anything having to do with these ladies on this cast. And I don't blame him. He is not one of the women, and he doesn't come off as wanting to be involved with the ladies. He just doesn't. He's got his coaching thing going on. He's got his car washes. He ain't trying to be involved in none of this, but he's going to go anyway. And he tells Angela, well, if you say hello to Britt, then it's all good. And Angela says, I'll say hello from the both of us, from me and Charles. So basically, you say hello to me, you don't say anything to my husband. So after that, Charles says, listen, I got deals to close. I don't have any more deals to open. Looking at this house, he's like, come on, let's go. And they leave. In this next scene, it is the day of the Bare and Naked event at this country club. Mike and Britt are there all dressed up, but y'all, nothing is ready. They're still putting up backdrops. They're still trying to get things up on the television screens. They're still trying to get stuff set up outside. It's a whole hot mess. And the producers are asking Britt in her confessional, well, what does Bare and Naked have to do with the country club? And Britt says, well, they don't have to go together because the shapewear line and the loungewear line has nothing to do with a country club or the derby or golfing or anything. But Britt says, listen, this group of ladies, we've been kind of ratchet here lately. So for this event, I just want it to be demure, classy and demure. And I wanted us all to dress up. I think what she's trying to do here is show the ladies a different side to her. However, the execution was off and awful, okay? The execution was terrible. Y'all, there is no signage up. Nothing is set up for this event yet, but people are starting to arrive. So the first of the cast to arrive is Kelly, bringing in a beautiful bouquet of flowers. The next to arrive is Shamia. Shamia looks fabulous in this Balenciaga fit that she's got on. Shamia is looking fly as hell. So Britt meets Kelly and Shamia outside, and she's greeting them, and she's asking the ladies, how do you like my event? I mean, nothing is set up yet. The workers are still there trying to get the signage going up outside so people even know that they're at the right place, okay, for this event. And Shamia is like, oh yeah, well, this is cute. She's like, yeah, I'm excited, but I want to know more about the event. So Britt tells Shamia that she wanted to bring the ladies in to get a little glimpse of her neck of the woods, her neighborhood, a little bit of her lifestyle. And so Shamia's like, okay, well, that's cool, but I'm a little bit confused because we're all dressed up. And I mean, y'all, they are dressed up. Stilettos, okay, all of that going on. yet they're going to go golfing. So Britt says, yeah, we're going to go golfing because it is the country club classic and that's what they do here. So we're going to go hop in the golf cart, y'all. We're going to go golf. So it's just Kelly and Shamia that go golf, okay? None of the other ladies have arrived. I don't know if any other guests have shown up there yet, but it's just going to be Kelly, Britt, and Shamia golfing in stilettos. Kelly is like, are we going to have other people come and golf? Are we going to watch people golf? Like, I don't get what golfing has to do with bare and naked. And then she says, and it doesn't even seem like Britt's neighbors even know her. So y'all, they get out on this golf course. They have no idea what they're doing. Shamia's like, just look like you know what you're doing. That's all that matters. Britt is like, it doesn't matter if we don't know what we're doing. It doesn't matter if we can't hit the thing, the ball, Britt. The ball. It doesn't matter if y'all can't hit the ball, if y'all can't swing the club, if y'all can't knock the ball off the tee, if y'all can't sink a hole. So back at the event, the next to arrive is Porsha. And she's looking around like, where is everybody? I didn't know I was going to be the first one to arrive. So then she sees one of Britt's friends sitting underneath an umbrella at a table. So she goes to sit next to Paris, who is Britt's friend. And she's asking Paris, like, what is this all about? Like, what are we doing? And not even Paris knows what's going on. She's like, well, the name of the brand is Bare and Naked. So I'm thinking maybe it has to do with cosmetics. And Portia's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Y'all, this is a mess. This is just a mess. In Portia's confessional, the producers are like, well, it's crazy because you and Britt, y'all's brand names are pretty similar. Porsha has Go Naked hair. Britt has Bare and Naked. And Portia's like, back this all the way up. You're going to put some respect on my stuff. I've had my brand for 10 years now. Now, Porsha, I mean, I get it. It's not that serious, girl. Both y'all have Naked in your brand. That's it. Back over on the golf course, Shamia is ready to go. She's like, it's hot out here. I'm sweating. My makeup is sweating off. My hair is swelling up. Shamia's like, I'm ready to go sit down up underneath some shade and, rub elbows with your neighbors, with your community. Have some hors d'oeuvres and some refreshments. Hello. And I'm saying the same thing. If you invite me out to an event where I got to get all dressed up like this, I better be sitting down somewhere with a drink in my hand looking cute. Not out here on this hot ass golf course, trying to swing a club and hit a ball, putting holes all up in this golf green. Hello. So y'all, they wrap up the golfing and they head on back to the country club, to the main house at the country club. And all the other ladies have arrived. Kelly meets up with Porsha and Portia's like, where y'all been? And Kelly is like, we went golfing. And Portia's like, golfing? Just like that? Oh no, we doing way too much. And they are, and is. Angela and Britt hug, and y'all, it's awkward as hell. It was basically just like, hey girl, thank you so much for coming. Well, thank you for having me. And then they just kind of stand around and look at each other for a minute. And Angela's like, oh, where's everybody else? It was so awkward. In Britt's confessional, she says that Britt and Angela, they've been going back and forth, but Britt extended the invite. Angela accepted and brought Charles. So for Britt, that is a step in the right direction. So the ladies congregate outside for a minute, and then Porsha asks Britt, so what are we doing next? And Britt says, well, we're going to go inside and have some brunch, and then I'm going to give you all a presentation on Bare and Naked. And Drew says, I don't know what Bare and Naked have to do with the country club. Maybe there'll be some naked bears up in there. And then y'all, the way that they edited this, they put a little dancing bear in behind Drew. Y'all, that it was hilarious. It was funny. And I don't usually laugh at anything that Drew has to say, but it was fitting here. It was pretty funny. Drew was being a little shady though. She says, I'm here to support women. I feel like we should all support women, even if we don't know what it is that they do. Miss Cynthia Bailey herself comes in, y'all, looking fabulous, fresh off of a flight. We don't know where she was at. Maybe she was flying back in from seeing her man. We know that Cynthia be flying in and out for this show. but she flew in for this event, again, looking fabulous. Meanwhile, Britt is having a conversation with one of the staff at the country club. She said everybody outside of the people that are seated at her table, basically the cast of the show, everybody else outside of that was supposed to be standing up having little small bites. Yet everybody who's in attendance is sitting down with the menu for food. Now, y'all, this is embarrassing. Britt had an event where she's inviting all of these people to this country club to present her brand, Bare and Naked. And she was only planning to feed the cast. How tacky. This is at a country club. You're trying to show these ladies a different side to you, be more demure, show them a little bit more class. And this is what you have to give. Britt, come on now, girl. I've been riding for you. You got to do better than this. If you're going to have an event where you're only going to be feeding like 10 people, then have everybody else leave. Or why did you even invite everybody else, y'all? It's giving setup. It's giving storyline. It's giving produced. Like, she's trying to produce. Britt is trying to produce this here, and the production was all off. The execution was terrible, and just throw the whole thing away. This is crazy. The staff says, well, we'll get it fixed. So then Britt goes back and tells the ladies, her cast, what has happened and what the deal is and why she's upset. Child, keep that to yourself. You did not have to come back and tell the whole table that you were only paying for brunch for the cast and everybody else is just gonna sit there and watch y'all eat. Porsha's like, oh, well, just give me my food. I can eat real fast. Because y'all, we know Porsha loves to eat. Porsha's not going to pass up a meal. Again, y'all, I love it. Y'all, this is, in the words of Dwight, this is dreadful. So Porsha says, you invite all these people to an event, you don't have food, you're going to be talked about around town. And listen, Britt has already been the conversation around town since this King and More hair spa events. So if you're trying to clear up your reputation, girl, if you're trying to present a different side, this was not the way to do it. So y'all, on top of the food situation, Britt gets up and she tells everybody what this event is about now. So she's telling the entire room, thank you for coming to my country club event, this country classic. I'm doing a pre-launch for my clothing line, Bare and Naked. Then she hands out gifts. But then she tells the entire room she's only giving gifts to the women, to the most beautiful ladies, basically her cast. So again, she has a room full of people that she's invited there, but so she's only giving gifts to the cast. Britt, you could say that as well. You could have just waited until everybody else left. You could have mailed these little gifts to people's homes. Like, you did not have to do this in front of everybody. This is just giving, you're putting on a show, but not everybody is aware. Are your other guests aware of what you're doing? You have them all dressed up here looking crazy to watch other people eat and other people get gifts. So y'all, the gifts that Britt gives to these ladies are basically samples of her clothing. Okay, they're all getting shapewear. Up on the TV monitor, she's presenting her line. Is basically just Britt and a before and after photo wearing the shapewear. You see a picture on the left of her before she has the shapewear on, and a picture on the right after she has the shapewear on. And that was the presentation. Okay, you could have saved that too. So then the ladies are opening up their boxes, and Shamia's like, gifts, gifts, gifts. And then when she gets her box, she was like, the box is bare and naked. It's basically just the shapewear in the box. There's no like real packaging. There's no tissue paper. There's like no little card or anything in there presenting the clothing line. There's just nothing. It's just, here's, you know, some Spanx basically in this box. Here you go. And then to top that off, she did not get people's sizes. So people just got random sizes. Porsha got a small, so she's happy about that. Angela got an extra large. Ain't nothing about Angela and extra large except maybe them feet. But her feet do not need shapewear, okay? Now at the table, Angela's like, I'm okay with the extra large. It's the thought that counts. She's trying to be polite. But in her confessional, Angela's like, maybe Britt got the extra large confused with the size of her toothbrush for her big ass mouth. So Porsha asked Britt what the inspiration was behind the line. And Britt says, back when I had my BBL, they gave me some ugly shapewear to wear after she got her procedure. So after she was healed up, she wanted to wear something around that was cute and comfortable, and basically it didn't feel like she had anything on. Then she goes on to tell us that in 2020, when she launched her insurance business, she took all of her staff, they went to a plastic surgeon, and she just told them, get whatever you want to have done. So she paid for all of their procedures, for all of their plastic surgery. So Porsha was like, oh, that is cute. And Shamia is like, are y'all hiring? And then Shamia's confessional, she's like, listen, I will be the spokeswoman for Bare and Naked, okay? Bare and Naked, Bare and Naked. Because there's some stuff that she wants to have touched up. And I'm saying the same thing, Bare and Naked. I would like to have a little bit of filler for my frown lines and my smile lines. Like, yes, hook a sister up, girl. And Shamia tells us also in her confessional that she's had a little bit of work done. She got a breast lift done. She said because when she used to lay back, the girls were going wherever they wanted to go. One be going under the left armpit, one be going under the right armpit. Gerald would just have to pick one and pick it up. And y'all, I can relate. I'm laughing because I can relate. I've had some bariatric surgeries. Okay, I've lost a lot of weight. And when you do that, you have a lot of loose skin, a lot of sagging skin. And where's one of the first places that you lose weight for us ladies? It's usually in the face and with the girls. And I lost a few cup sizes with these women on my chest, with these ladies. And they just go wherever they want to go as well. I call them sock titties, y'all. They're like little sock titties. So yes, Bare and Naked. If you're hiring and if you're still giving out free plastic surgery for your staff, I'm interested. So after Shamia's confessional, we're back at the event, and Britt moves to sit down across from Charles and Angela. And Britt is asking them, Angela, Charles, how are you guys liking the event? And Charles is very polite. He's like, oh, I'm having a good time. Thank you. And Angela says, yes. And then she decides to say, and Charles does not have a side baby. And everybody at the table is looking like, like, girl, we weren't even talking about this side baby situation with Charles. And here you go, bringing it up again. Charles is sitting there looking so uncomfortable. So then Britt says, and I'm also not one of Charles's whores. So then Angela gets to laughing. Charles is still sitting up there looking confused and mortified. And Charles says, and I don't mess with whores. And so then Britt is like, well, I'm just being funny, because she's referring back to when her and Angela were going back and forth at this Bailey queue when things were being said and shots were being shot. So then Britt and Angela say, oh, okay, well, we're cool now. We're cool. We're moving forward. And then it's all good, right? Until Drew pipes up and she thanks Britt for the invite. And then she says, I know we had a little something and we need to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation. And then Kelly says, yes, y'all do need to have a conversation. And when you do, it needs to be a truthful conversation, not a conversation full of lies. So then Drew was like, well, always, baby. Always, never. So then Drew tells Kelly, get to know me. And Kelly says, I don't know anything about Drew other than that she's a liar. And then flash back to a couple of weeks ago when Drew was telling all the ladies that she was Michael Jordan's cousin, which turned out to be a lie. And then y'all, in Shamia's confessional, she says, Drew is a certifiable liar. Drew Nokio. I know that is right. That was perfect. So y'all, there was tension between Drew and Kelly that we didn't really fully get to see. We see it a little bit in a flashback scene when Angela, Kelly, and Drew were at Angela's house talking about the whole Porsha Shamia situation or the Porsha Drew situation. And apparently, there were some insinuations being made on each other's characters between Drew and Kelly. Kelly's not really knowing who Drew is. Drew's not really knowing who Kelly is. So there was some tension. So now back at this brunch, Shamia says, well, I understand this is the conversation that I was being called a lapdog during. Somebody called me a lapdog. Where did that come from? And so then Drew tells Shamia that came from you going back to the group and telling the group things that were not true and twisting words and misrepresenting how I said something to you. And so what Drew is referring to here is when Angela, Drew, and Shamia were in the studio, and Drew told Shamia, oh, my royalties are going to be able to pay for PJ's college fund. It's going to be able to pay for her college, or at least some snacks. Drew was trying to say, that's not how I said it. We flash back to exactly what Drew said and how she said it. And it was as Shamia brought it back to Porsha. It's exactly how she said it. And it sounded exactly how it sounded. It sounded wrong and foul. The way it sounded coming out of your mouth, Drew, is the way that it was relayed back to Porsha, point blank, period. Drew is basically trying to say that Shamia took something that Drew said was positive. There was nothing positive about that, Drew. And that Shamia turned it into something negative. And again, there was nothing positive about that, Drew. In Drew's confessional, she says that Shamia has all this energy for her, but doesn't have that same energy for Porsha, hence the lapdog comment. So the producers are like, oh, we're still going with the lapdog thing. And Drew was like, well, Shamia is a lapdog. You know what, Drew, honey, this is the thing. Shamia and Porsha had a deep, deep friendship. Shamia does not have that same kind of rapport with you. So if you come at her wrong, she's going to check you. And you are not privy to the conversations that Porsha and Shamia had. So how do you know what kind of energy Shamia is bringing to Porsha? You don't. So then Drew tells Shamia, like, listen, this is my opportunity to tell you why I called you a lapdog. I owned it. I was hurt, but you hurt me. So that's why I said it. So Shamia is like, I'm not trying to sit up and listen to you tell me why you called me a lapdog. She was like, kiss my ass. And so Drew was like, listening ears, listen to what I'm saying. I said it because I was hurt. So then y'all, Shamia starts barking. Shamia starts barking at the table. And Drew was like, oh, how old are we? And Shamia had the best comeback. She was like, in human years or dog years? Y'all. Shamia took me out with that comeback. She said, in human years, y'all, or dog years. So y'all, after the back and forth with Shamia and Drew, Britt speaks up and she says, ladies, we are at a classy establishment and we're not having that in here. So if you need to air something out, you need to take it outside because we're not having that here. Y'all, Britt, you know what? That may have been a classy establishment, but that was not a classy event. So what went down at this event was fitting, in my opinion. But Shamia says, oh no, we ain't going outside. And then Cynthia says, listen, we gonna figure out what side of the argument we gonna be on here. If we gonna air it out, we gonna be on one side of it, and let's just get on one side. And then Cynthia says, I did not hop on a flight and get all dressed up to be here. Get me up out of here. This was just not it. Throw the whole thing away because this was trash. And I am so sorry, Britt, because again, I have been riding for you, girl. This is not going to leave a good impression for anybody. This was just not it. So y'all, in this next scene, Drew and her road manager, Ashton, are at Fox Rothschild, y'all. And they are there to sign Drew's recording contract. So she is ecstatic because she is finally going to be a signed artist. And Dennis has sent a bottle to the signing for Drew. But before they signed on the dotted line, Drew wants to have a FaceTime call with Dennis to kind of talk through what was said about her and about the whole situation where Dennis implied that basically Drew wanted to sleep with him. Drew wants to make sure that things are on the up and up before she signs this contract so that they can continue their working relationship. So Drew calls Dennis on FaceTime and basically says, hey, thanks for the bottle. But it was brought to my attention from Angela that Porsha basically told her that you sent her a text message implying that I wanted to sleep with you in exchange for free studio time. So Dennis says, well, I don't know why you would even entertain that or listen to that. You know, we about business over here. And we all know that studio time is not free. So then Drew was like, well, thank you so much for clearing that up because that was crazy. And Dennis is like, yeah, you know, I'm all about trying to help you walk in your purpose. You're talented. We're trying to get you to the other side. Basically get this album out and start making some money off of it. So now that the air is cleared, Drew is more than happy to go ahead now and sign on this dotted line. Drew feels like what she was told was fabricated. She is taking Dennis's word for it all. She's like, Dennis is my bro. I know what the relationship is with Dennis and I. So now it's at a point where me and Porsha definitely need to sit down and have a talk. And child, I would love to see how this talk is going to go between you and Porsha. So after Drew and Dennis hang up off of this FaceTime call, John comes in. He is the entertainment attorney with the contracts. Dennis is now on Zoom. So him and a couple of other people are in on this meeting via Zoom, watching these contracts be signed. And John says, now, before you sign this, you know, when you sign this, basically Dennis is going to be your partner now. He's going to be your music business partner. Drew happily signs. She is ecstatic. She's excited. Congratulations, Drew. I don't really rock with you like that, but still, I can congratulate you on your success, and the album is a hit. So, hey, congratulations. So, y'all, in this next scene, the Frack is back. Porsha pulls up to Miss Phaedra Park's home. Phaedra answers the door, looking just fabulous, y'all, and I am so happy to see her back on this show. She says, I heard someone's been looking for me. Well, here I am. Now, y'all, Phaedra says she is back home where she belongs, okay? And you can tell she is ecstatic to be back on the Housewives and off of Married to Medicine. Now, in Phaedra's confessional, she says that the last time she was on the show, it was not her best moment, and it certainly was not. So then we get a bunch of flashback scenes of her when she first joined the cast. She didn't have her 2 sons. She was married to Apollo. She didn't got divorced from Apollo. You know, Apollo went to jail. So Porsha comes in. She and Phaedra sit down and they get to talking. They get to chit-chatting and catching up. Phaedra is in a new home. So she's not in the same home that she was in the last time that we saw her on this show. She has upgraded, honey, and this home looks fabulous. And so they get to talking about the dating life. And, you know, Porsha's not really dating, she says. The right person has not come along to make her really want to get back into dating. And so they're talking to Phaedra about her dating and about her dating life. And Phaedra says, you know, she's got her little 30-year-old something. So then they kind of just reconnect on the same level that they've always connected on. Phaedra and Porsha have just always had a free, kind of fun-flowing relationship. Now, Phaedra doesn't really know all the new ladies on the cast, but she does say that Kelly comes by the showroom. Phaedra, finally somebody that's smaller than you. Y'all, as I said, Kelly is like the smallest person that's been on this cast. So Phaedra is ecstatic. Phaedra has a fetish for little things, for little people, okay? So Phaedra loves her some Kelly right now here in this moment. She's all about Kelly. So Porsha's giving Phaedra the rundown on some of the other ladies. Porsha says Kelly is best friends with Britt. And Phaedra's like, oh yeah, Britt Edie. Yes, I'm familiar with her. She's got a reputation around town. Phaedra says, yeah, Britt's got more bodies than Willie. Willie is the Undertaker, y'all. He is the person who got Phaedra into the whole embalming business. In Phaedra's confessional, she says that, yeah, Britt's been known to have a few suitors, but now she is wifed up. So that chicken pot pie must be good. So they move on from talking about Britt. Phaedra talks about Shamia. She's like, oh yeah, I love me some Shamia. Shamia is a fun girl. She's good people. Now, Phaedra, I'm sure she didn't know that Shamia and Porsha had just had a little, friendship rift, a little argument, and there's still some tension. So Porsha, she kind of moves past that. She's like, yeah, Shamia is good people. But do you know Drew Sadora? Phaedra's like, yeah, I know Drew. I know a little bit about Drew. And Porsha says, well, she's working with my ex. Phaedra's like, oh, she's working with the hot dog man? And Porsha says, well, word is that she's been sitting on a couple of hot dogs with the hot dog man. Phaedra says, well, I thought Drew was more into tacos. But a lot of people in Atlanta are fluid, so hey, I love it all. And we're talking about Drew with Ty Young, who is currently appearing on Basketball Wives, over on VH1. And y'all, we know that there were rumors about Drew and Ty, some things going on there. Those same rumors are also being discussed right now between Ty and Ming Lee over on Basketball Wives. So then Phaedra says she's got some tea because she heard that Charles Oakley was married. And Portia's like, you just now hearing that Charles is married? Yeah, he's married to Angela. So y'all, this kind of feeds into what was previously said about Charles on the show this season, and even a few seasons ago, he's been linked to Sheree Whitfield. So y'all, I don't know. I don't want to talk about Angela and Charles's marriage. I like Angela and Charles's dynamic as a married couple. Don't really care for her on the show. And as I said in my last review, I believe that Charles and Angela need their own show. Now, I don't know what kind of arrangement they may have going on, but y'all, when there's a rumor, there's usually a little bit of truth behind some of these rumors. There's usually a little bit of truth. I'm not going to say it's 100% true. Maybe Phaedra has some more tea that she can share with us in these upcoming episodes. So now, y'all, Porsha is here for all of this. She was like, this is the Kiki I needed. This is a fun Kiki. This is a healing energy. This is the healing energy that I needed. So now Porsha tells Phaedra about the cast trip to Grenada and that Shamia is hosting. So Porsha's like, let me FaceTime Shamia and let her know that you're available to go on this cast trip. So they FaceTime Shamia. Shamia's all excited. Everybody's happy. Phaedra's like, yes, girl. And Shamia's like, you know what, let me go ahead and call Kelly and FaceTime Kelly because she's co-hosting it with me. I'm co-hosting it with her. So then they get Kelly on FaceTime. So Kelly gets on the FaceTime call and she was like, hey, Faye. And Portia's like, I want Phaedra to come to us with Grenada, but I just wanted to call the host first. And Kelly is like, we'll be more than happy to have you come on the trip, Phaedra. So y'all, this trip it should be fun. And I know there's going to be some drama. But at least we'll get to see a little bit of frickin' Frack. And I know not everybody was too excited about Phaedra coming back. But y'all, really, we do need a little something different this season. Like I said, it's been dark. So we need a little bit of fun. And Faye, she's always going to bring the fun, y'all. She's always going to bring those quick lines to get the girls in order. But then she's also going to bring some fun. So I am happy to see it. So now Phaedra says she's excited to go on this trip. We've got Strawberry Shortcake, aka Kelly. We've got Miss Fluid, Miss Free and Fluid, Miss Druzilla. We've got the woman about town, Miss Edie Britt. She says we've got Sweet Shamia. And we've got the secret wife of Charles Oakley. Y'all, Phaedra's a mess. Phaedra says she cannot wait to dive in and have some fun. And child, I cannot wait to see it all. I cannot wait for this trip. But y'all, that was the end of the episode. Y'all, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Let me know what you thought about this whole country club classic fiasco. It's a dreadful event that Brit threw because y'all, well, it was cringe. It was cringe at best. And then y'all, let me know what you think about Phaedra's return. Let me know what you think about the return of Frick and Frack. Y'all, I'm all here for it, but I know there are some people that disagree. And I'm happy to hear y'all's side. I want to hear y'all's opinion too. So comment down below. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think. And y'all, thank you so much for watching again. I appreciate each and every view. I appreciate all of your love and support. I appreciate those who have reached out to ask how they can offer more support to this channel. Y'all give me the motivation that I need to keep going, because I'm going to tell y'all, it does get hard. I do get discouraged and I need to stop comparing, but I do get a little bit discouraged. And y'all, this isn't my 9 to 5. I have a regular 9 to 5. So I'm doing this, on the side with the hopes of really getting this channel up and going and making this my full job. I want to do some lifestyle stuff. I want to bring y'all closer into what I've got going on. I want to bring y'all into my life a little bit more, maybe do some story times, maybe some get ready with me's, and maybe some shopping hauls, and if one day I'm able to go on vacation, I'll bring y'all along for that too. So y'all, I hope y'all all had a great Memorial Day. And until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and don't forget to tell someone that you love them today. Love y'all. Peace.